I hope you're all excited, right? So we are thrilled to have our first technical workshop of the Women in AI Hackathon with an exciting session, which is diving deeper into the Gen AI world. So please join me in welcoming Riddhi Dasani. Riddhi is a senior data scientist bringing over 6 years of experience in developing and deploying machine learning, deep learning, and Gen AI solutions for real-world challenges. With a strong focus on collaboration within cross-functional teams, emphasizing collaboration within the cross-functional teams. She has been effectively worked with a wide array of clients across sectors such as insurance, telecommunications, manufacturing, and healthcare. And Riddhi also earned her master's in electrical and computer engineering from Concordia University. So I'll not take much of your time. So let's give Riddhi a warm welcome as she shares her insights and knowledge with us today. Welcome, Riddhi. Riddhi, we can't hear you. Okay. Oh, let me unmute you. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Sorry, please go ahead.
Thank you. No, thank you very much, Larry. It was a pleasure to be here. Hello, everyone. I hope you are enjoying your first day and very excited, as Larry explained. I'll get started with sharing my screen. You guys see my screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. So why we are here today is what I wanted to just bring in light is we know ChatGPTs, we know how what it can do to our life, right? But how exactly it works, what can we do to make the most use of it? So that's why I wanted to cover some of the key aspects of diving deeper into GenAI world. So that's where we are. Let me get started. So my objectives are two. Well, first being we all strive and thrive. By end of this presentation, I'm hoping that this will give you a starting point if you're not already using GenAI as your companion, or if you are already using it, you can familiarize yourself with essential terminologies so you can discover an use case which streamlines your day to day. I know we all belong to multiple different areas, right? So we can make the very use case that helps us. So that's the agenda. And I personally believe I've got this quote from somewhere which says that Jana is not only a fleeting trait anymore, it is really a cornerstone for our future. So let's get started. Outline for this one is we're gonna get into LLM, the intuitive explanation, like what exactly is behind the scenes. We can spend some 10 minutes there. We can talk about LLM's brain, which is GPT architecture, how it works, what are the key aspects there. Then we can go into some little discussions about beyond ChatGPT. We can list out some handy LLMs that you can use either for your text, image, video, audio, or code generation. Then I'm gonna spend some time on making your own GPT. So that is your use case, applying LLM to your use case. That's the plan. And then we can list out some custom GPTs which are already available for us. We can talk about prompt engineering, and then we can spend some time on Q&A. So that's the plan. I hope everything is fine so far. Okay, let's get into the intuitive explanation. So this is a funny one, but a softer start to our bigger agenda, right? So let's say there was a curious parrot in my house. Let's call him Buddy. He's living with me since a year now. The abilities he possesses is he has great mimicking ability. He has a sharp memory, so he remembers everything, and then he listens to all my conversations, no matter if I do it with my family on phone. It doesn't matter, but he listens everything. So when I say I'm very hungry and I'll have some noodles to my mom, he listens, he remembers. And then cut to scene two, where next time when I say I'm feeling hungry and I would like to have some, the moment I stop there, Buddy will utter noodles because that's what he learned in the first place. So now, the idea is the probability of him saying noodles is higher than saying a biscuit or a bicycle or a book is because it's not that Buddy understand what noodles means. It's because Buddy has learned this very sentence. So for human, bicycle, book, and noodles are different, but for Buddy, it's all similar. But then this might sound like he's already very smart, which Oh, sorry. I see a hand up. Go for it, Vanya. And you're muted,
I
maybe.
think like we can only see the first slide, Riddhi, so that's the issue.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, my bad. Thank you. 1 second. Let me pause. Do you see the scrolling? No?
No, the first one.
No?
No.
Okay. Sorry, Zoom is not a platform I use more often, so I gotta figure out what's happening. Desktop 2 is being shared. No luck yet?
No, we can see intuition. Oh yeah, it's moving.
Okay, perfect. Awesome.
So
Yeah,
it's
sorry about that.
yeah.
So, okay. Perfect. So little going back. So this is the cute parrot I generated through GPT again. So just for little added fun. But coming back to the idea that when I say that Buddy understands what I'm gonna have for my dinner today is only because he has learned this sentence. Now coming to scene 3, where Buddy has spent 3 years and now he's grown up, he is all suited up. Now he has understand or learned 3 years worth of conversations, right? So he's gonna be more accurate. That is what GPTs are doing for us already. And now through this story, basically the Buddy, the parrot, is an LLM. The conversations that he has been listening are all our training set. The brain of Buddy is made up of neural networks, or the very specific neural network named as generative pre-trained transformer, or GPT in short form. That is the brain. And because he has the sharp brain remembering everything, that's the memory part of LLM. And that's why this is what LLM can do. Now, when we say that Buddy has listened to 3 years worth of conversation, which basically means imagine an LLM has gone into a world where he traveled to so many places, met so many people, learned so many languages, and that's why it can provide you insights for history, nutrition, write a poem for you, or even today, like solve me a data science or data analyst problem. So that's what GPTs are already capable of. That is what I wanted to cover just as a starting. Let's move to GPT itself because that's the brain of our LLM. Now, generative pre-trained transformer, the first word of it, generative, stands for that can generate all the things for us: text, image, sound, videos. That's what generative stands for. Pre-trained basically means that it was trained on a massive amount of data, almost like compressing the entire internet. And this prefix pre stands that there is still a room to tweak it on additional training data. You can fine tune it, do whatever, but basically that's why it is pre-trained, because it's not still full-fledged. And transformer is very specific kind of neural network. I'm sure most of you are technical here, so you understand that there is a deep learning model in place which kind of boosted the entire wave of GenAI. So that's what transformer models are. There are various models, bidirectional, multidirectional transformer in place that we can make use of, but that is behind GPT's brain. So now the question is why LLM is making headlines now? Like from mid 2020, we started hearing the buzz, we started using it. There are four major things why it kind of got the spotlight. The first one being that now we have this very advanced training architecture in place, which includes attention mechanism, or RLHF, which stands for reinforcement learning for human feedback. We got our many GPUs, so our computational power is very high. We got very improved training data where we can collect and analyze this large data sets. And then we have increased accessibility. So for example, ChatGPT opened the door for everybody like ourselves to get the access of GPT model itself and use it for our day-to-day. So that's why they are making headlines now. But the initial attempts were started back in 1950s. So that's where we are. Now, use cases for LLM could be beyond chatbots. You can use it for code generation or debugging. I learned about Cursor, an application that every software developer can use. Really, it will suggest you all the boring work, or really it will suggest you all the suggestions that is required in your code. So that is definitely very helpful. You can use it for sentiment analysis, all the natural language applications that you can think of, language translation, summarization, paraphrasing, content generation, all of that are another use case of this very LLMs. So well-known LLM list or with general capability, these are not customized. So that is why it is general capability listed. I made this slide back in April, so it's little outdated, but then still OpenAI is making its way into being on the first. Then we have LLM coming from Meta, some of the Llama series models. I noted some of the parameters. So just for this one, the OpenAI's GPT-3 was 175 billion parameters. Now GPT-4 and all the GPT mini models is way down size than this, but other models are bigger in size. Now Google has their own Gemini Pro, 1.5 Pro, Advanced, all the Gemini family. Those are the main models, and there are now some of the open source LLMs in place as well. For example, a French company called Mistral have open sourced all its LLMs, so it's not just OpenAI's model that we can make use of, but other open source LLMs are in play at this point as well. For image, you can use OpenAI's DALL-E, Midjourney. Those are image generation models. For video, there is OpenAI Sora model, not available for public yet. I think it's just enterprise use at the moment. There is text to code from GitHub Copilot or OpenAI's Codex. For audio generation, if anybody is into music, there is a model called Udio that you can make use of. Just write a text, it will generate an audio for you. So those are well-known LLMs with general capability. Now talking about what are the so this list keeps increasing, right? The moment I made this slide, there were 89 models, and I just checked today, it's somewhere around 164. So those are all the LLMs that we can make use of. They are designed for different perspective, but we can leverage it for our use case. So that is the very comprehensive list. I can share this link with you at the end of the presentation if you want to see where they are, what are the parameters, how they are performing, who made it, what is the license, etc. So that's about open source LLMs, or not open source, but basically the LLMs that are in to be used. Now, if I were to train this model or make your own GPT, just in a hypothetical world, what I would need is 10 TB of text data to just get my training set updated. I need at least 6,000 GPUs or a cluster of that to train this. I can compress this and pay around $2 million, wait for 12 days to get my base model. So a rough estimate coming out of OpenAI, people make speculation, and it was coming that the first GPT-4 costed them 100 million to develop. This includes GPT cores, human resources, everything. And that's why not every enterprise can make their own GPTs, right? They have to do some way to tune it in for their needs. So the fine tuning in GPT world is little different. We call it reg-based bot, or like legit you are messing up with the training parameters. Those are two ways to make your custom GPT. And why we're going in this direction is the current GPT might not be as useful for our needs. So we have to do something to get that sorted. Now, if you haven't heard about RAG before, it stands for Retrieved Augmented Generation. And as the name suggests, the first step is it retrieves from the data you provide. It augments the generation, and that's why it provides you the answer, which is not exactly coming off LLM, the open source or general capability LLM, but it gives you the answer based on the resources you provide. So an example of what exactly this does. For example, if someone currently asks any GPT model that in the solar system, what planet has the most moons, and if the answer is coming that it will say that Jupiter is the planet having most moons and it has 88 moons. Reasons for this is why we can't trust this answer is A, it did not provide you any support document. So it did not tell you where this information came from. And second thing is this information is outdated. So now if you ask today, the reputed source, like NASA, would say that the moon, Saturn is that moon, and it has 146 moons. So now your answer is grounded. In other words, you are not going into the outdated information. There is a word called hallucination, which basically means I will always give you some answer without being or giving you an confidence that how accurate this information is. So that's what reg can solve for us. Like you give new information, or you give information that is very like it's not available in public, but it's very private to you. So that's what reg can utilize. I'll pause for a minute if there are any questions before we move on and get this in action. If no question, I'll keep going, but just want to see
Let
things
me
are
ask
fine.
the
Yeah.
participant to unmute themselves.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're all allowed to unmute, or you can post your questions in the chat, or you can directly
Yeah. Yeah.
unmute.
Yeah. Okay. No questions?
Yeah.
Hope things are fine. Yeah.
The question is, how is that done with ChatGPT?
Yeah, I'm gonna show you in a moment. Question. Perfect. So, another example is just this. Your normal LLM would just say, based on what information it is, with reg, it can use your data that you can upload. This data could be your PDF, Excels, URLs, you name it, and this can make use of it. Now let's get into this one. So first, this is I couldn't get my app up and running. It got undeployed a while back, and so I couldn't have it in running. But then this is the example. For example, you get the question. If you ask this very question to your open chat GPT, it wouldn't provide you the citation, right? So that's what Redbase can do very easily for you. I've made this so in your chat GPT, there is something called GPT store. Now this version is available only to premium users. I've had it one time. I don't have it right now, but I made this TD Insurance Navigator chatbot where if you ask this question, that which number should I call if I were to cancel my policy, you did not explain TD in the first place, right? You did not mention that you are looking to get the number from TD website. But what I did in background to make this ChatGPT is I provided the documentation to begin with. So essentially, you upload your documents, whichever you wanna upload, and then it will know that okay, fine, I'll give you this number using this. So it is also providing your citation along with the website from which it got the answer for. So various ways to do it. This is just one way. From any cloud, there are various ways to do it. They call it chat web app, where you can just use their UI, get the search index done. So and then get your app running. Let me go a little back and see the phases. So basically what we are doing right now is you get bunch of your documents, you create an embedding for that, and store it in a vector database. So why we call it vector database is because this is a multidimensional array that you are storing, right? Now, every time you make a call to any API, the first thing it will do is it will go to your vector database, try to find the five or whichever number of chunks you as a user are saying, and then the answer will be generated from that, and that's why it will always have citation for any answer that is generating. Does that answer your question? Yeah, hope so. But that is what that is what basically we can do. And of course there are more advanced way of playing with all the parameters. So this is the most easy one for anybody who is just starting to get in. Okay, I heard that from Christine that this approach doesn't fully eliminate hallucination, 100%. But then this will removing or like removing hallucination by 100% is not going to be possible, right? So this is just one way of doing it. There are many other ways. Maybe you can keep your temperature to be 0, so it's not random. There are so many parameters in place where you can do this, but you are so true that we can't eliminate it by 100% margin for sure. However, I want to say that why reg is making the fuss is because there are so many enterprises which do not want their data to be going anywhere, right? So they want, for example, any lawyer application or executive co-pilots that you can think of. They want to keep their information to themselves, and that's why reg can be useful. Its hallucination was their one of the objectives. The very first objective is they want to query the documents rather than going page by page and finding that information. If that answers your question, yeah, perfect, awesome. Perfect. And now switching gears to another, okay, I see another question. Are vector databases used for data structure files also? Do we have to convert the data into embedding also? Yes. So I assume by structured data, you mean Excel sheets or your tabular data, right? Definitely this has to go into vector databases as well. But then right now, from my experience so far, tabular form creates the most difficulty even when you store in vector databases. One of the things we did, and this might be useful in your hackathon period as well. So imagine there are 5 columns, you have 10 rows. Now, if you feed it this way, LLM will not make use of it because it's just plain text without any mapping between it. So you can make this mapping yourself, that every column, every row, you club it and then put it as a one-liner. So that when you go to second row, you don't lose what was the column heading, for example, if that makes sense. So you make this key value pair yourself, so LLM can make use of it. But structured data is something which will still be a struggle for LLM. You have to do some things for embeddings to be more useful for LLM to gather the information. Does that answer your question, Batul? I hope so. Yeah, perfect. And I see another question from Nafisa. Could you show the demo of adding a file to ChatGPT again? Which version of GPT are you using? Perfect. I can. So this one, maybe I'm not sure my current. So I haven't upgraded it. So I'm in my normal ChatGPT. But when you go to ChatGPT Plus, and make an upgrade, it's 20-30 USD a month. But basically, when you go here, that's where you can make your custom GPT. Let me see if I can. Yeah, so right now create is disabled for me. When you go to create, and then at that moment, you will get all the instructions of how to do what. And there you will have a functionality to add your documentation. Could be PDF, and it will do exactly what I explained, but without showing you what it is doing. So it will do the embeddings, it will store in a vector database. The next time you query it, it will come up with the answer based on documentation you provided. So that's what Nafisa you can do, but you need ChatGPT Premium. Yeah. However, you can right now, if you really want to do as a part of this hackathon, you can make use of Mistral AI or Llama. Those are open source LLMs. You download the weights. You can make this very application. Just search for reg-based board, how to do it. Python is your friend there, and this will be very easy. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Moving on, yeah. Now there is one very what do you call, like this kind of give every engineer another thing to learn. This is called prompt engineering, but it's not really engineering. This is like how do you query it. It will affect how your how accurate or how not accurate, but how good your responses are going to be. And then there are just so many documentation around prompt engineering that you can make use of as well. But at this level, I kind of drill it down to what makes any prompt a good prompt. So prompt is nothing but a query that you give, but then if you be very open-ended, that's a problem. If you be very controlled, that's a problem. So that's why there is a structure that we all can follow for our chatbots to work for what it should be doing. So this is what prompt engineering per se means. And a structure for any good prompt could start from a role. So you define a persona. You can say that, okay, now you are a teacher or you are an economist or you are a business leader. So it understands the task at hand. And then imagine like from the galaxy of information, it is going down on that one area. That's why role is very important. That then you give a specific task or instruction. And if you have a very big of a task, you can divide it into multiple tasks. So first your task should be one in a once like what do you say? And I see something in the chat. Mr. AI. Yeah, thank you, Nafisa, for sending that. And we are at time, so I'll just gonna go fast. So instruction is if you have many instruction divided, you provide all the context needed, and you if there is anything needed for your input data, for example, if you have what kind of input your what will help LLM to understand your information, then you provide that too, and you define the type or format of output. Very good example of output is if I always want JSON in my output, then I'll have to specify it to LLM to know that what I want in my output. So that's a structure of a good prompt. Very quick example is if I want to go on a holiday, if I ask I want to go on a holiday, where should I go? It will be very random. But if I define it this way, that acting as a travel planner for a 3-day family trip to Paris with a focus on a child-friendly activities, this is all the context I have provided, and this is the instruction I'm giving. That can you create an itinerary and output should be including daily schedule and accommodation suggestion. Now this prompt will do the job for me rather than this one will where should I go. It will be very open-ended. So that's what prompt engineering means. Now what I really want to go in is all this good for a good GPTs that already exist. For example, if either of you have a kid at home and you want to make them learn math, this is your math mentor, which will teach parents how to teach their kids in a fun way. So those are the open source GPTs, but then very much designed for one task. For example, this is for data analysis. You can drop any files to analyze and visualize your data. I'm sure most of you have faced it. We spend like most our time visualizing or getting insights out of your data. So this can help. There are so many more, but as a time constraint, I'm gonna keep it short. So maybe for your day-to-day task, you can make use of this, that how do I remove a coffee stain? And rather than remembering what are the steps, you can ask GPT now. So that's pretty cool, huh? That's what open source GPTs, but specialized GPTs can do for us. And then to end my presentation, I'm gonna just say that even when this looks very cool, it is really helpful, I agree. But then GenAI is still a system one learning. And by that, I mean, there's a book called Thinking Fast and Slow. Most of you might have heard of this. There are two level of system thinking defined. System one thinking is when I ask 2 plus 2 to any of you, you are going to say 4, but you are not really calculating it like we all being taught in school. But then this is coming from your cache memory that you definitely know it's for. But if I ask you 17 into 24, many of us are going to need some calculations to be done, right? This is what system two thinking means, which is effortful. There are decisions to be made. This is conscious, not unconscious. And at this level, GenAI, any GenAI model you can pick, those all are still on a system one thinking. We'll have to wait until it gets to system two thinking. So that's where we are. I hope this was somewhat helpful. There are a couple of resources I can paste in chat for you, use if need be.